if you were expecting high octane offense or even an offense in general, this Chicago Bears game was not for you. But a win's a win. I will give it. I will admit it. It's a win, but it was very, very ugly. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Soulback Sports, and I'm so back with another video. And I'm going to be going over what happened pretty much at this Titans-Bears game. And there's a lot to talk about. Some positives, some negatives, and some major takeaways going into the few games this coming month. But before we get into today's video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really means a lot to the channel. It really helps me create content like this for you guys. So please subscribe. Let's go over the positives. So Tory Taylor continues to look good. And that's, been the subject over preseason and even before he was drafted. The reason why Ryan Poles drafted Tory Taylor in the first place is because we've had issues with field position, and he provides the opportunity for the defense to make plays and pressure the opposing offense with bad field position. And it worked a lot this game and I feel like he was very underrated part of why this game went for us. So before we get into the rest of it, let's talk about the score line, because the score was something else. And the Chicago Bears won 24-17, and a comeback victory with the 21 unanswered points, being down 17-3 in the half. Yeah, Caleb Williams did not have himself a great game, but the defense and special teams had one of the best games. Some things to kind of talk about in terms of positives. Jonathan Owens, or Mr. Biles, as they said on the broadcast, had a block punt for a touchdown. Carter was a great returner. I'm going to talk about Velus Jones Jr. Don't worry, I'm talking about Velus Jones later. Second half defense was everywhere. And Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson had themselves a day. Both each had interceptions, and Tyreek Stevenson had pick 6 to go with it, keeping us into the game and giving us the momentum we really needed to pull this game out, And Darrell Taylor, pretty solid debut as a Bear. Like, he did have a preseason debut, but he was very underrated, had 2 sacks over Will Levis, and, did we technically solve our edge rusher issue? Maybe. I don't know, because I guess it's between him and Austin Booker. Austin Booker had a quiet night, but Darrell Taylor had a really good game. And Caleb Williams overall, I think the one big positive is that no interceptions. I guess that's a very huge positive if we're trying to find any. And as much as he tried in this game, I think that that's pretty much the only thing. And he played relatively mistake-free football. And while there were some batted down plays and all that, I think in general it was a pretty solid debut in that sense, keeping a clean sheet. Not in terms of sacks, but overall pretty solid. No turning over the ball necessarily. No fumbles, no nothing. Anyway, now let's talk about the negatives, because there are a lot. Velus Jones, yeah, you're going to be starting first, man. You need to go. I am sick and tired of Velus Jones Jr., and I think I speak on behalf of all Bears fans, really, when we say that Velus Jones Jr. should have been cut a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago, because the amount of muffed punts, the amount of fumbles, the amount of missed opportunity after opportunity, and this season we were like, oh, maybe he changed, because we saw Hard Knocks. He did pretty well the preseason. And the first thing he does is muff a punt in year 4. Yes, in year 4. He needs to go. If he's still playing in this game, I don't know what to say, man. I think Ryan Poles is just really trying to make this work. I don't care if he's a running back. I don't care. He just needs to go. Unable to stop the run in the first half specifically. Tony Pollard ran over us. And Tony Pollard is not what he used to be either. You got to keep in mind, he left for a reason. He wasn't good on the Cowboys for a reason. And he ran over us. I did say earlier in the podcast that I think Tony Pollard will be good for the Titans. I think he's a really solid back, has a lot of experience. But our defense did not play to their potential, especially on the run. And offensive line issues have been major for us this year. And especially to open up the game with our Nate Davis, our Coleman Shelton specifically having issues. It was unbearable to watch, because I feel like as soon as Caleb snaps the ball, immediately there's pressure in his face because our center could not hold himself, and Nate Davis has been taken out because he just wasn't playing the way he should. Caleb Williams specifically, especially when it comes to deep ball, overthrew the hell out of the ball. Like a lot of plays where he was throwing downfield and it was just completely overthrown. He got to hit them in stride. So hit the wide receivers in stride. There were so many opportunities that could have been for touchdowns, but it was missed. Definitely learning an opportunity for him going forward. Missed tackles in the end zone, and specifically for the defense. Like the one play to Okoronkwo, I'm pretty sure, where he was able to snag a touchdown. That should not happen. That needs to be more diligent, especially in the first half of the game. Oh, and speaking of that, especially on penalties. Penalties are a huge problem, especially in the beginning of the game. I think the whole thing I'm kind of noticing is that all these happened in the first half. Caleb Williams specifically as well. A lot of the batted down or deflected balls that were thrown. Very scary moments. Could have been for, interceptions and even going the other way. And, scheming for Odunze and other wide receivers. Like, there were multiple times in the game when Odunze and Keenan Allen were in the same area or in the same relative place. Like, Shane Waldron has to fix that. That can't be happening. You can't have two wide receivers doing the exact same route, essentially. And Keenan Allen had a crucial drop in the end zone that could have been for a touchdown. I know there's a lot of what if, could have, should have, but if he caught it, it was very uncharacteristic of Keenan Allen to be missing those plays. And that could have been a clear touchdown, and the game could have been, created momentum more earlier than later, really. And his health specifically, especially Keenan Allen, especially he was limping near the end of one play when he was going for a deep ball catch, and it was very well overthrown, and he kind of started limping to the sideline. It did not look good. Hopefully he's all right. There's really no information yet about his health status, but it looks pretty good. I mean, I think he'll be fine for the next game. But he was in the pregame questionable, and he was able to play. All right, let's get away to the takeaways. Offensively, it was horrendous throughout the first half. Pretty straightforward. Offensive scheming wise, didn't utilize enough two tight end sets in my opinion. Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett were pretty much missing. You could put an APB for Cole Kmet because he was not utilized whatsoever. Whether it was blocking, it was pretty much for blocking, really. Like, even for that, it wasn't even that good. Williams needs to play better. I mean, yes, it was his first game as a rookie. He needs to still play better. Like, you have an offense to rely on. And yes, you have to rely on your defense as well to make plays. It's a team effort at the end of the day. But you have to make sure you utilize your wide receivers properly. Don't rush things. Don't take things, for granted. Just make sure that you make the right play and especially get the ball where it needs to be. Get it in stride, I think. I think once the jitters were out, I think this first game was like, okay, reality check. The pace of the game is a lot faster in the regular season than it is a preseason. That's out of the way. Now you're on to Texas, or the Houston Texans, and they're going to be a lot more of a competition than the Tennessee Titans. And if anything taught us from the Colts-Texans game, they're going to be a force to reckon with. I'm happy that our defense came to play, allowing us to be in a deep hole. But at the beginning of the game, it cannot really happen. It cannot happen. But the fact that they were able to climb their way back and help us climb our way back and gave us the momentum we need means the world. And it shows us that we can still be in games in late game situations. Yeah, pretty much Caleb Williams has to be able to hit his wide receivers. Shane Waldron and Flus. Flus had some adjustments, which is really good. Probably from Eric Washington being like, hey, we need to make some changes. But Shane Waldron definitely had a pretty bad game. Play calling wise, a lot of behind the line of scrimmage plays. Very stagnant offense. Needs to be more dynamic. But I think if those things are fixed, I think we should be fine for the Texans game. Overall, it was a very emotional roller coaster for the game. What can I say more than that? Because it was just all over the place. And yeah, I mean, what can you expect? Hopefully, it's a lot better next game. Caleb Williams can get more than 100 yards next game. And that's about it. Like, I think for the MVPs of the game, I went for Torrey Taylor's a third MVP. Jonathan Owens and the defense combined for my second MVP. And the number one MVP is Jalen Johnson to seal the game and win it for us. And that'll do it for this video. Please remember to like and subscribe again. And thanks you guys so much for watching. I'll be doing more Bears content. Look out for the podcast coming up on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I'll be doing these post-game and pre-game reactions and more analysis videos throughout the week. And that's about it. And I'll see you guys in the next one.